In our country, there are many different kind of factories making many different kinds. In factories, people work together at machines to make many of the products that help us live better and easier. The products made in a factory take a great deal of planning, preparation, and work on the part of many people. Let's visit a typical factory. In this toy factory, millions of toys are made. Toys like these honey bears, musical clocks, toy guitars, and merry-go-rounds. But now, let's see how this factory plans for and produces a new product. Let's see how a factory works. This is the factory's planning board. These men plan or decide what the factory shall make. At today's meeting, a number of ideas are presented. One man suggests that the company manufacture a jack-in-the-box, and he draws a rough sketch to show what it might look like. Then the idea is improved upon. Why not make a jack-in-the-box with music? A kind of jack-in-the-music box. Sketches of this idea are sent to the experimental department. A worker in this department makes a sample or experimental model of the new toy. This is what the jack-in-the-music box will probably look like if it is finally manufactured. The model is now taken to the art department. Here, an artist makes rough sketches of pictures that may be used to decorate the outside of the jack-in-the-music box. Then he takes his sketches and the decorated box back to another meeting of the planning board. The men on the planning board check the completed model. They look over the sketches, deciding which ones they want to appear on the new toy. The jack-in-the-music box is finally approved for production. Engineering is the next step in the production of the toy. In the engineering department, highly trained engineers plan exactly what parts will be needed and how the toy will be made. They also design the tools that will be used to make the parts for the toy. The engineering department's plans are put onto blueprints. The head of each factory department will read these blueprints and be able to tell his workers what to do. One set goes to the tooling department. Here, tool and die workers make the machines or tools that will be needed to manufacture the parts for the toy. Here are some of the tools being made. Another set of blueprints goes to the purchasing department. This department will buy the raw materials, the cloth, springs, metal sheets, and other things that will be needed to make the new toy. Finally, extra workers must be hired to do the work. The man in charge of the personnel department is interviewing a woman who wants a job. The raw materials to make the toy arrive at the factory. Steel tubing, coils of wire, strips of metal, and the many other materials that will be needed. Workers arrive at the factory to do the many different jobs. Now the tools have been made. The machinery has been moved into place. The parts for the jack in the music box are coming off the production line. This machine is called a shearer. It cuts off strips of metal for the body of the toy. This automatic punch press is finishing the chime bar for the jack in the music box. The chime bar makes the music. This coil of wire is fed into another punch press. This press uses a piece of metal called a die to cut off and form cranks and axles for the new toy. Now the parts have been made, and the workers are ready to assemble or put together the jack in the music box. This is the assembly line. Each worker here does one special job, adding her part to the toy as it passes along the line. Let's start at the beginning of the assembly line and follow the process through. This is the first assembly operation. This woman is using a machine which bends the flat metal sheets into the can body that will be used for the jack in the music box. The cans move down to the next worker on the line. This worker joins or rivets in the parts that make the music. This is what they look like in place. This girl puts on the crank and the rubber belt that make the music parts work. Then she checks the music-making part of the toy. Another worker places a cardboard tube containing the clown's suit inside the can. And still another worker operates a machine that puts the top and bottom on the can body, curling the edges so the toy will be safe to play with. Now the clown's head is made ready for the new toy. A worker glues a hat on the head. Then the head is attached to the long spring that will make it pop up. The spring, with its head, is placed inside the suit and the cardboard tube. The suit is clipped around the clown's neck, and the toy is tested to make certain that it works right. Finally, the completed Jack in the Music box is placed inside a cardboard container, ready to be sold to citizens. This is the sales department of the factory. The toy is being sold, and orders are coming in. Here is an order for 36 dozen. Shipping containers filled with toys are loaded into railroad cars. Trucks are loaded too. And the toys are sent on their way to hundreds of stores everywhere. You have seen some of the steps that must go on in almost any factory in order to manufacture a product. First, the planning board plans the product. Next, the experimental department and the art department make the first model. Then, the engineering department designs the parts and tools needed. Raw materials and workers come into the factory. Now the parts are made on the production line. Next, the parts move down an assembly line and are put together. Finally, the product is shipped to stores all over the country. From factories come a great many of the things that make life better, easier, and more fun for all of us.
Area code 314. St. Louis, Missouri, on the banks of the Mississippi. It's here, on the way north from New Orleans, that the blues stayed for good. Sports and breweries, cereals and chemicals, and the arch, the Gateway Arch. Even today, when it's all finished, you look at it and you say to yourself, it couldn't be done. But there it is, the gateway to the West. 630 feet of stainless steel, just standing there tall and proud. And you can even ride up one side and down the other. That's a trip you really ought to take. But please, phone ahead for your rooms before you head for the arch. The park can be mighty cold. Area code 603. Mount Washington, New Hampshire. The highest mountain in the eastern part of the country. And it's the home of the world's first cog railway. Back in 1869, when the railway was first built, a lot of folks said it couldn't be done. But it was. Round trip up Mount Washington on the cog railway takes about 2 hours. The incline gets as steep as 37 degrees. It's an exciting and beautiful trip with lots to see and enjoy. You ought to try it. And when you do, keep in touch with home by phone.
This weekend, and every weekend, you can telephone coast to coast for as little as 70 cents. It all began in Boston, 1876, with Alexander Graham Bell. The first telephone, the first switchboards, the first operators. Soon telephone lines to New York, to Chicago and westward. And from San Francisco east. Lines from east and west meet in Utah. The year, 1915. The minimum rate on a call from New York to San Francisco in 1915, $20.70. Years pass. Phone service expands, and long-distance rates drop dramatically. The minimum rate for a coast-to-coast call by 1920 was $8.25. 1927, $5.50. 1940, $3. By 1963, $1 plus tax. Now, in 1970, the minimum is 70 cents plus tax, coast to coast, on calls you dial yourself on weekends. 70 cents for a 3-minute call from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday. In 1915, $20.70. In 1970, 70 cents plus tax. They said it couldn't be done.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Oh,
Excuse me, Mrs. Schwartz. Could you tell us how you feel about oil heat?
oil heat? Oh, well, I think oil heat is wonderful. See, I'm showering in the school. What's for hot water? All I want, all I can use. And I know for a fact that only oil heat can give me so much, so fast, and it's so dependable. And I got my dishwasher going, my washer going. Still plenty of hot water. Whoops, I dropped myself. You know, everybody, all my friends wouldn't think of buying a house unless it was heated by oil. Oh, everybody thinks it's so dependable. Dependable hot water and dependable comfortable heating in every room in my house.
Mrs. Schwartz,
Yeah?
you know you're on television?
Yes, I know.
Oil heat. You can depend on it.
You can make your family's life much brighter. You will find your work much lighter. It's as easy as can be to live better electrically. You can have more time for fun and pleasure. Family moments you will treasure. It's an opportunity to live better electrically.
Modern folks have learned to save their time and energy too.
You don't have to work and slave. Let electricity do it for you. You can have your cake and you can eat it. Make life sweet, it's hard to beat it. What a thrill to be so free when you live electrically.
The power of the atom, greatest source of energy man has ever discovered, is now serving in many ways, from atomic submarines and ships to nuclear fuel generation of electric power. Planning ahead for California's growing electric needs, PG&E, in partnership with General Electric, has had Vallecito's atomic power plant in operation since the fall of '57. Its license from the Atomic Energy Commission was the very first one issued. Now we're building a much larger atomic electric plant to begin operation in 1962 at Humboldt Bay near Eureka. Today, atomic electricity costs more than conventional power in the United States, but at PG&E's Eureka plant, engineers expect to break this cost barrier and become the first in America to achieve economic atomic electricity. Creative engineering, research, and pioneering development like this help keep your PG&E service your best bargain.
PG&E presents Ready, your tireless household servant.
I wash and dry your clothes, play your radios, I can heat your coffee pot. I am always there with lots of power to spare, cause I'm ready kilowatt. Remember, just plug in. I'm ready.
This is the KNBC News Service with Tom Brokaw.
Named Jock, his loving wife Mary, and their alarm clock. It failed to go off. My word, what a fuss. Poor Jock overslept and missed his bus. But Mary was ready with the Yellow Page guide, called a cab, sent him off on his ride. Then she decided to find where to buy some brand name products she wanted to try. She found neighborhood dealers in the Yellow Page book and went on her way. That's all it took. Down at the office, to Jock's dismay, he saw that his typist was leaving that day. An employment agency he'd used before but forgotten the name of had gals galore. So to find out the name, Jock took a fast look in the time-saving classified telephone book. Meanwhile, back at the ranch house, his mate had looked in the classified and made a date to have the clock fixed. You be smart, too. If you're looking for something, here's what to do. Use the Yellow Pages, the first place to look for anything.
Vote yes to keep TV free in your home. Don't let pay TV rob you of your free choice. You now see free baseball, football, spectaculars, movies. These and many others come to you free. You will pay for these with pay TV. The public has a right to protect itself from pay TV. If you are a registered California voter, sign the petition near the snack bar. Keep television free in your home.
As everyone knows, life is full of little surprises. And since life is what KFWB is all about, it figures that KFWB is full of little surprises, too. So if you don't want to be left in the dark, sometimes you just have to ride a story out. All news, KFWB 98. The longer you listen, the more you learn.
Sometime in the lives of most young fellows comes a time when they settle down, try to amount to something. Has it ever occurred to you that you might go to work? Listen, Junior. Around here, folks will tell you that Jim Blaine never invested a dollar that didn't pay dividends. But they're wrong. I invested in your education, the finest I could buy, and I got back a scatterbrained pink tea-hound for my money. 4 years in college, and all you learned was how to play a banjo and carry a football. Why, when I was your age, Come in. What do you want?
Mr. Blaine, I'm sorry, but the train. You have just 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Harley. Now, Junior, listen, and listen hard. I'm going to the mine. A man's job, a he-man's job. Something you wouldn't understand. But if you get into any more scrapes, Well, don't do it. Yes?
Well, James, how are we doing? 4 years in college, learning to play a banjo. Did he ever hear you play the banjo? Shut up, that isn't funny. You're telling me you should have an ear for music. Quiet, Steve. I'm going to get a job. Any kind of a job. Just so long as it's a he-man job. Whoa, now, take it easy. Don't do anything rash.
Well, Big Tight, the new rescue apparatus. Your father forgot to take it.
Oh, well, send it up on tomorrow's train.
Tomorrow? There's a fire in the mine now. They just phoned.
Fire? Come on, Steve. Make it snappy. Everybody give me a hand here. Watch out, watch out. Step on it now. Hurry up. Hey, officer. See if there's a city limit. Fire at the mine. To the crossing, we're all set. Hold on to your hand. It's a good thing we had that cop for an escort getting her to town. Yeah, it wouldn't have been safe without him.
that car racing this train. We're doing better than 60 miles an hour, yet they've been pulling up on us easily.
Yeah. Look at the darn fool waving. I suppose he thinks he's smart.
I'm trying to wave him down. Haven't you got something red? Yeah, some red flannel underwear at home. Ah, don't be funny. We've got to stop them before they reach that crossover.
Hey, they're doing an awful lot of waving. You suppose they're trying to flag this train?
Oh, no. Just some kids with a fast car having a fling for themselves.
Hey, there's a railroad crossing. Yes, I see it. I hope your brakes are good. We've got the best brakes in the world. Well, I guess that's that. I know a shortcut through the mountains, and I'm taking it. Say, nobody ever got through that pass yet in the car. There's one going through now. Great Scott, Jimmy, it's better than 60 miles over there, and we've only got a quarter of a tank of gas. Do you happen to remember buying me a new hat because you said this car wouldn't get more than 20 miles to the gallon? More of this to you. Hang on, boy. You ain't seen nothing yet. Look out, you'll tip her over. Oh, no, I won't. Not with this car's low center of gravity. We'll drive down through that watch. Say a mountain goat might make it, but a car? You're crazy. Maybe an ordinary car couldn't make it, but remember, we're driving a Dodge. Come on. Not me, the car wins. It sure can't take it. Hey, this car's built to take the tough going. Look out! We're going to hit the rock now. You better call a camel for those sand dunes ahead. It may have to jump the hump, but we'll get through. You say jump? I've had enough. The car's still taking it, so you'll keep riding. Well, I guess we'll have to give up now. No chance to get the car down from here. Boy, we can't quit. Let's roll it down. And you expect to drive it away after that roll? Steve, it's our only chance. Let's go. Was that a tumble or was that a tumble? You said it, boy. And if it weren't for a safety all-steel butting, we would have had a pile of kindling wood at the bottom of that hill instead of a car all in one piece and still running. Is everybody out? No. 2 of the boys are still in there, and there's nothing we can do. Hey, where's that coming? Come on, boys. We have the rescue apparatus. Mr. Blaine, there's a fire number 4. Fire? Good Lord, those 2. Well, everything's okay now. Your boy is here. Junior, are you crazy? How did he get here? He drove. Impossible. You all right, Jimmy? It's okay. They're all in. Quick work, old boy. Nice going, old man.
Jimmy, are you all right? Are the men all right?
We got here just in time, Dad.
Jimmy, I don't know how in heaven's name you did it, but it was a he-man's job.
You can give this Dodge a hand, too, if you don't mind, Mr. Blaine. All right, pull us through, all right.
I'll say it did. Put it there.